Hi, Chimibella here, and this is my first video in a long time. So before I start, I just want to apologise for not posting much. I've just been super busy, and I got a new phone, and I've been focusing on my Wattpad because, well, it's Wattpad. But now I am back. I am going to try and record a lot and lots of new videos for, well, I want to say this year for next year. So let me know the type of stuff you want to see. I will probably do more comic and cartoon and fanfic stuff, but also anime and manga if people want. I'm going to try and do some more D. Greyman stuff again, but for now I'm going to stick to superheroes. And now, time for the video! So today's video is going to be about two of my favourite DC non-main Justice League characters, who I also think are not as well known as they could be. Well, at least they didn't used to be this well known. You'll see what I mean. I'm going to compare the characters of Billy Batson, aka SHAZAM, who used to be Captain Marvel to DC, but I'll go into that more, and Garfield Logan, aka Beast Boy, or Changeling. So, as I said, they're not main Justice League members. They were not part of the original. They're saying that people are saying in the Justice League 2 film, or whenever that comes out, they think Shazam's going to be part of the Justice League then, and he was part of Justice League War, the cartoon, but yeah, it's not like canon in comics, and it's not canon in TV shows or anything like that, so, and even though both Beast Boy and Shazam have become more popular, I think that isn't because of comic origins, that's how it is now, so I wouldn't count them as being that popular. I picked these two as I like to think they are both quite similar, while they are also quite different, and I find them quite inspirational. I will be mentioning both cartoons and comic versions of characters, so be warned, spoilers are here. So continue at your own risk. Also, I started making this video, I did start planning all this before the Shazam movie. I have seen it while I'm recording this audio, so I'm going to try and avoid too many things since I wanted to make a whole new video on just the Shazam movie. So, let's get started with some background information. So for William Joseph Batson, or Billy Batson, his parents are Cece and Marlene Batson. I can never pronounce half these names because it's such an old comic franchise. He also has a sister, a twin if I'm not mistaken, or older, depending on, I think, which comics or what we're looking at. I believe it's a twin, but I think the new rebirth of 52 would change that. So his sister is called Mary. His parents were archaeologists who would take Billy and Mary with them on their travels. Now, I believe it was when Billy was 4 years old. This is really old comic canon I'm going back on, so the ages and all that are roughly, there's always going to be maybe a year or so difference in what I'm saying. So when he was about 4 years old, his parents had to go to Egypt. Poor Billy got ill, so he wasn't able to go, and his parents went with his sister. Well, I say that in some versions Mary didn't go with them, but either way, when they went to Egypt, Billy was meant to go a few days later when he was better, but there was an accident and he never went, and none of his family ever returned. Other thing, and I will discuss Mary as at different versions of her going and not going and all that origin another time, but I'm just going to stick with the one where she left with them and nothing happened after that. So after this, Billy was sent to live with his only living relative, his father's brother, his uncle Ebenezer Batson. Yes, Ebenezer, says it all. His uncle was evil, is all I could say. He was only interested in getting Billy's inheritance from his parents. So after all the affairs were settled and all that, he had no need for Billy. He didn't want him, he didn't anything. So from here, as far as I'm aware, Billy was maybe 6 or 7, maybe. I think it was close to 6 or something. He's either thrown onto the streets, so, you know, sort of, you know, the runaway sort of thing, or put in foster care. This is where a lot of variations come into play, so different storylines and all that. From all the versions that I know of the story, he always somehow ends up in foster care. No matter, like, what his uncle did, no matter what happened, he somehow ends up in foster care, probably being picked up in the street. Now, in a lot of them, it's always hinted, it's, like, never fully shown, because obviously kids and all that, that in, like, a lot of homes that he's been to, they were very unkind, if not downright abusive, neglectful, all those, which normally leads him to run away from the foster system and live on the street. In the newest Shazam comic that I read, which I think was Rebirth, but it could have been 52 because I've read both of them, I think. He was placed into another foster care. It was a group home. This is where this is what the film was based off of. The Shazam film was based off this origin. That he was placed into a group home which were kind, and they had obviously several other children there. I don't really like that origin much because it's not the one I was used to. I prefer the one where he tries to lives on the street, living on his own. I recommend watching the cartoon film, animated film, whatever you want to call it, Shazam and Superman versus Black Adam, or the name was something like that, because that shows Billy living on his own, and it's very different. Also, in the newer version, his personality, while being more realistic and more modern, and definitely shows what situation he's in, the only way to describe it, he's less friendly, less open, he's a lot more guarded. He's not trustworthy or hopeful in others. Whereas in the film and his older origin that I mentioned a moment ago, he's always sort of trying to help others no matter what the cost is to himself. He's very self-sacrificing. He even says that his parents told him, be good and good will follow, which I think is quite a sweet thing, that even after all he's gone through, he's still trying to be good, and this is before he has powers, so I think that says quite a bit.
Yeah, it's what you get for trying to be good. Should have just kept my mouth shut. Be good and good will follow. That's what my parents used to always tell me.
This shows especially when he is asked for money from another homeless person who, you know, he doesn't really know much, and Billy has pretty much nothing, and this other person's just a bum pretty much, just if you understand what I mean by that term. If not, I don't really know how else to explain it. Just someone who's on the street begging for money, not doing anything. But Billy said to him, I only have a subway token, but it's yours if you want it, and still gave it to the guy. So I find that very self-sacrificing, that this little kid would do that for a complete stranger out of the goodness of his heart. So, okay, now on to his powers and all that, because I will hopefully just make a video soon on Billy and his past and all that in a lot more detail than what I'm hoping to go into, what I've just been into. Billy was given his powers at an age between 8 and 14 years. Like I said, it depends on the origin and all that. By the wizard Shazam. In the Young Justice cartoon, he actually became Captain Marvel, because it was Captain Marvel and Young Justice, when he was 7. He also had a legal guardian by the name of Dudley, or Uncle Dudley, dubbed by Billy. I say this was just made to make it a bit more child-friendly, because you don't really want a child cartoon showing a kid living on the street. Don't think that would go over well with the viewers, even if it was only shown briefly. Now, SHAZAM, for those who don't know, is actually an acronym for the god that granted Billy the use of their powers, making Billy the world's mightiest mortal. Keep in mind that it's mortal, not immortal, not god, which comes into play with Black Adam, his enemy, quite a bit. So, S is for the wisdom of Solomon, H is for the strength of Hercules, A is for the stamina of Atlas. I'm not too sure on how to pronounce that. Z is for power of Zeus. The second A is for courage of Achilles. And the M is for the speed of Mercury. I think it's meant to be Greek gods, but I'm pretty sure Mercury wasn't a Greek god. But what do I know? It's not like I did great in history, or paid attention much in history, or learned about Greece in history. Billy was, well, I'm going on with the video before I forget. Billy was transported to the Rock of Eternity by the wizard, where the wizard resides, by the use of a subway car. And magic! The reason the wizard gave Billy these powers is because he needed a new champion to defeat the past champion, Black Adam, who, in my opinion, is one of, if not the strongest, DC villain, who it is, if you haven't read the comics and you don't know much about Black Adam, there's no way to describe it other than he is powerful, so powerful that it is incomprehensible. Yes, Chimmy learnt a big word. So, I think this sums up where I wanted to go with Billy. Like I said, I'll try and make a video on him with more details soon. Okay, let's move on to Gar. So, Garfield Mark Logan, or Beast Boy, Changeling, or just Gar. His parents were Dr. Mark and Marie Logan. For Beast Boy, I only really know of 2 origins. Well, sort of 2 or 3 really. The Young Justice one and his comic book one. I also sort of know the Teen Titan one, but that's really similar to his comic one. So, are we talking mainly about the comic version with just a few hints of Young Justice in there? His parents were scientists that were studying animals in the rainforest. They had taken him with them. While the young child, Garfield, it's not that his parents were mean, they just spent more time on their science project than with him, so you could say, I guess, they were slightly neglectful, though not on purpose. They were just quite interested in their science, especially his father. So his father paid almost no attention to him. While he was young, Garfield contracted a rare disease called, let's try not to mess this up, Sakutia. To save his life, his parents injected him with West African green monkey antibodies. The West African green monkey being one of the only animals to survive this Sakutia disease, which is deadly. Due to his parents' actions, he was able to survive, but his skin turned permanently green, as well as giving him the powers that he has, which is to turn into anything from the animal kingdom. Though it is meant to be anything from the animal kingdom, this does get stretched a bit, since in the Teen Titans show he's been shown to turn to dinosaurs, which I don't think he's meant to do. And I think it was in Teen Titans versus the Justice League, he was able to turn into some sort of demon or something. which, again, not exactly meant to, but at the age of, I think it was 10, because I got this from the comics and it was really old, so it was part of the Doom Patrol comics, and I don't really remember which one it was or what age he was. So it was about 10 or something. His parents died in an accident in the jungle, which Beast Boy actually blamed himself for, because he had his power at that point and he felt like he could have saved them. But, as you can tell, he didn't. With no other living relatives, he was appointed a court-ordered guardian. However, this guardian of his just took all of the money Beast Boy's parents left for him and used it for himself, which is quite unfair on the poor kid. He even tried to have poor Garfield assassinated on several occasions. All of this led to Garfield going to the Doom Patrol for help, though they were not too pleased and honestly didn't even believe the kid. But eventually, Mento and Elastigirl get custody of him. I'll probably make a video on that another time, since that was one of my favourite arcs and it really got me into comics. Really into comics. Now, in case you were wondering, it was explained, for the Young Justice, it was explained at the end of the first half of Season 3 that Beast Boy didn't get his powers from a Martian blood transfusion, which is what everyone thought during Season 1 and 2. And that he was actually part of the Doom Patrol before he reunited with McGann and joined the Young Justice, which none of us actually knew until Season 3 came out. Everyone just assumed he had gone straight to McGann, which would have taken comic canon and any other canon off the table completely. Now, this isn't exactly canon, but at least it has some parts of it. Okay, I know you're probably thinking this is a long video, and I said I would talk about the comparisons. So, I will go on to comparisons now. It may already seem obvious to those who listen to this whole thing of why I chose these two. But anyway, on I go! So, reason number 1. Both of them lost a mum and dad at a young age. Quite young. Number 2. Both got powers at a young age. I mean, they are some of the youngest heroes with powers to be I find that quite interesting, because they both received their powers. They weren't born with them. They both were gifted them, in a way. Both of their parents travelled for work. Beast Boys, obviously being scientists, travelled to jungles and other places, where Billies were archaeologists. Number 4. They both had guardians who stole their inheritance, which I find that one of the most ironic of the comparisons, that they both got guardians who stole their inheritance. I don't know why I find that so funny and humorous. It's quite sad and shouldn't happen. Number 5. They've both been neglected or mistreated and hated by a guardian, which is true. Number 6. Until recently, neither of them were main Justice League members. Because, like I said, I'm not counting the SHAZAM film and what it implies for Justice League 2 when that comes out, and I'm not counting Justice League War animated film. Just not counting those, keeping to comic canon. So none of them were main Justice League members, which is quite important. Though Beast Boy was part of Doom Patrol and Teen Titans and all of that. Number 7. Neither of them were sidekicks, because Shazam, or Billy Batson, he becomes an adult hero. He was never anyone's sidekick. And Beast Boy was a Doom Patrol member. He wasn't a sidekick to any of the members. He was a member himself. He was also a member of the Teen Titans, and I feel like there was another group he was a member of that I can't remember at this moment. Member, that's a funny word. Anyway, number 8. despite experienced tragedy, they both experienced quite a lot of tragedy, neither of them turned out like Batman. Let's be honest on that. Or like anyone else who uses their tragic backstory as a reason to sort of hate the world or want to make it better. I mean, everyone knows Batman's reason for fighting is what happened to him when he was younger. Same with Robin and several other of the heroes in the world. There's been something tragic and they've wanted to do something about it. And they use that an excuse to hold darkness inside of them. But these two young children who were gifted these extraordinary powers didn't. They have seen darkness in the world. And they chose to take that darkness and walk through it with light. Like, did you notice any other similarities? Or is there anything else you wanted me to cover? If so, just let me know. Like the video, leave a comment, message me on one of my other social media platforms. The links will be in the description. And just let me know what you think. Have a super day, week, month, year. Chimmy out.